Previously, the red-robed man's girlfriend, kinking, was marked with the ghost show tattoo, was manipulated by someone to jump off the building. At this point, the man in the red robe was instantly furious. A punch hit the wall. Sworn to take revenge for his deceased girlfriend. Officer Shen beside him felt completely confused. Inquire about the string, which case involves jumping off a building. Then Chuanzi recalled the day he encountered the man in the red robe. It was about the incident with the man in blue at the hotel that night. I briefly explained it to Officer Shen. Officer Shen remembers the case of the girl who jumped from the building. The information states that she visited Sigel Mountain before jumping off the building. So the police took this as a clue. The investigation is being conducted alongside the Wenxiangyuan massacre case. The man in the red robe was somewhat surprised. When Tianguan was unexpectedly exterminated. In recent days, he has been waiting at the hospital, so I know very little about the outside world. Before the red-robed man could finish speaking, suddenly an old lady behind him poked his bottom with a cane and questioned him if he had stabbed his butt with a knife that day. Suddenly, the old lady saw that there were police here. Immediately have Officer Shen hurry up and arrest this little pervert. It was that day he used a knife to assault himself. The man in the red robe quickly explained that the old woman was cursed that day. He did it to save the other person. Chuanzi teased him on purpose after listening. I didn't expect you to have a hobby of poking people's butts. The man in the red robe told Chuanzi to shut up. Things are not at all as he imagined. The man in the red robe was too lazy to argue with them anymore. He immediately turned and left. He definitely hasn't done anything so despicable. Only the chattering old woman was left. Officer Shen comforts the elderly with a smile. After this, Officer Shen started chatting with the gang members. Officer Shen couldn't help but sigh. Since meeting Chuanzi and the others, strange pieces of knowledge are increasing. If you don't understand some mystic principles now, you can't communicate with them. He came to the hospital this time. It was actually to investigate the details of the shooting incident at the square regarding Hoxin. But as soon as he arrived at the hospital, he heard the doctor say, Hoxin just had a seizure and fainted. Currently under examination. At the same time as they were talking, the doctor from the Red Star ward stepped out. Red Star's girlfriend, anxiously waiting at the door, immediately wipe away the tears and ask how her boyfriend is doing. He just stepped away for a moment. I never expected such a thing to happen. The doctor told him that the test results were nothing serious. It seems that two young men just saved Hoxing. At that moment, the trio of Chuanzi happened to walk by. The doctor looked at them and said, It seems to be those two. The girlfriend immediately rushed over to hug Liuoqi in gratitude. Rocky claims that his boyfriend is a phony, but Chuanzi doesn't want to accept this favor. Said leisurely, Brother Luo, you're the real hero. Officer Shen, next to him, looked completely bewildered. I don't understand what this situation is. Afterward, Officer Shen said goodbye to the informant and returned to the police station. So Chuanzi brought Liuoqi to the door of room 703. Earlier, a little dog kept barking at this room without stopping. It is very likely that something has been discovered. However, at the same time the two were speaking, a nurse with ghost sleeve tattoos walked down the corridor. There is an ancient art called Gui Ziu too. The corpse bearer only needs casual physical contact. You can imprint the ghost sleeve pattern on others. Once marked with this seal, the middleman allows the necromancer to control from a distance. A nurse with ghost sleeve tattoos on her legs, walking from the end of the corridor, as they passed by Chuanzi and Liuoqi. Chuanzi immediately called out to him. Inquire about the people living in room 703. The nurse smiled and said, "This ward is still empty. No patients reside inside," after the nurse left the two of them, but revealed a strange smile. Chuenzi found this a bit strange. Since this ward is unoccupied, that earlier shadow dog Zaya Chuenzi, why is it barking wildly here? Rocky suspected that something dirty might have passed through here, now long gone from this place. Reluctantly, the two had no choice but to leave first, waiting for Officer Shen to send someone for further investigation. But Chuenzi felt it wasn't right. They still have to find someone. Time is short. The two arrived at the Dongling tea house. Rocky didn't understand what Chuenzi was thinking. "I actually have to find that old rascal in Silver City." But Chuenzi said, "Officer Shen just mentioned the girlfriend of the Mayo ethnic group's great dancer, Kinking. Before jumping from the hotel, I once visited Zai Gong Shan. The old Taoist of Silver City is from the Asking Heaven Temple. He must know a lot of insider information. And coincidentally, when the massacre occurred at Wenshan Temple, the old fox of Yin City just happened to be away from the temple. Is it really just a coincidence? Still know some hidden truths." "That's hard to say." Just as they were speaking, a figure in a trench coat stood outside the door. The old man in sunglasses, wearing an octagonal hat, walked into the tea house, arrived at the front desk. "Inquire about the reserved private room for the skewers." Then the waiter led the old man to the private room. As soon as the door opened, Chuenzi suddenly saw Yin Cheng dressed like this. For a moment I almost didn't recognize it. I can only awkwardly say, the deist priest from Yin Cheng is really dressed exquisitely. Upon hearing the call, he shouted his Dharma name. He immediately closed the door and said softly, "Do you want to die? Didn't we talk about it on the phone? You must never shout his Dharma name in front of outsiders." Chuenzi expressed with a face full of apologies. "I just forgot." Then Yin Cheng sat down nearby, asked Chuenzi what he needs, but he had stated beforehand, no one is allowed to mention the previous grievances anymore. Additionally, remind the string, don't expect him to do things for the gang. Chuenzi told him not to overthink. The Chuenzi came over for just one thing. "I just hope that Yin Cheng can speak honestly. Tell him the secret of the Asking Heaven Pavilion." Who would have thought? Yin Cheng took off his hat and waved his hand. "The Yaotian temple is just a Taoist temple. The group was completely wiped out by a band of rats. What secret could this hold? But Chuenzi doesn't think so. What Yin Cheng said is just a rumor. Yin Cheng, as one of the survivors of the Wenshan Temple, you must know there is more to this story." Yin Cheng, upon hearing this, "I couldn't help but twitch at the corner of my eye." Chuenzi continued, "This matter concerns the reputation of the entire Wenshan Temple. All the Taoist priests in the temple died mysteriously overnight.